Hi everyone, Audrey here. Welcome to Bush and Grit. Picking up a hunting rifle is not that complicated when you understand a few key concepts. And this video is to help you understand those key concepts, understand the scenarios of your hunts, how you want to hunt, and picking up a rifle is going to be very easy once you understand all this. So the way I break it down, it's actually very simple. I have three basic characteristics that I'm looking for, and the rest is just fluff. The first thing you need to pick is the cartridge. My rule of thumb here is you go with the highest recoil you actually can take, because the more recoil you take is the more energy that you're sending downrange on the animal. And for a clean, ethical kill, you want to do as much as damage as possible, right? Of course, recoil is a very important factor because you don't want to start too high, okay? Because you might develop flinch, bad habits, you won't enjoy shooting much, and in the end, you won't be a great shot. So when you're choosing your cartridge, your hunting rifle is not necessarily your plinking rifle, okay? And you should make that distinction here. Some people will use the argument of losing meat to discourage you for maybe going too high. The losing meat argument is not real for me. The real argument for going too high is going to be having too much recoil that you can't handle, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is run with the highest recoil you can, because when it comes to meat damage and meat loss, I'd rather lose 5% of the meat of an animal that had a clean, ethical kill, as opposed to having a bullet that didn't have enough energy or expansion and wounding that animal, lost somewhere, dying, and you just lost 100% of your meat. So that's my simple equation to that. So I've divided the cartridge in three groups: moderate, high, very high. The 30-06 to me sits right between the moderate and the high section. So everything in the moderate is lower in terms of recoil. So if you've shot a 30-06 before, you'll know what to expect from this cartridge, and from everything above as well. I know that all the cartridges that I've listed have killed game, very popular hunting rounds around the world. In the moderate category, I think my first pick is going to be the 6.5 PRC, because of all these cartridges, it's the one that gives you the more range. And in the high category, above the 30-06, then you can consider the 270 Winchester Short Magnum, 300 Winchester Short Magnum, and a couple of others. They have the 7mm Remington Mag, the 7 PRC, also great cartridge. If you want to go the route of wood thumpers, you can consider a 35 Wayland, which is a fantastic hunting round. And if we step above and you're actually venturing into the, even in some dangerous game territory, the 9.3 by 62 is a phenomenal cartridge. This is, as of today, my favorite hunting round. Actually, I have a new rifle here that I'm going to talk about in a future video. Link is going to be up here in the description. This is my Moose Hammer. Using a moderate recoil cartridge will make you a better hunter. If you cannot take an animal, at 300, 400 yards with your rifle, it will force you to get closer to the animal. It will force you to be a better hunter. It will force you to learn how to call a moose, to get in close, right? And don't get me wrong, it's awesome if for someone to be able to snipe an elk at 700 yards. But for me, the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of it, is being able to play hide and seek with an animal for a while, not knowing if you can get to it or not. Is it coming? With all that anticipations, and finally when the moment comes and that huge bull moose appear in front of you at 50 yards and you take that shot, that to me, that is paramount. And the 700-yard shot has nothing against that type of experience. So once you've established the type of cartridge you want to run with, the two other important factors to me, in my opinion, are the weight of that rifle and the length of the barrel. And all these kind of correlate to one another, the type of cartridge, the length of the barrel, and the overall weight of the rifle. But the weight correlates more into the type of environment that you're hunting. If you're hunting in the Rockies, you want a very light rifle, maybe a 5.5 pound rifle, 6 pound rifle top. If you're hunting in the plains where the terrain is not that accidented, it's fairly easy walk, straight, flat ground, then you will mind carrying a heavier rifle. 9-pound rifle, no problem. And if you're here, again, Eastern Canada, in the dense brush, crossing rivers, going uphill, downhill, fallen trees, all that, crouching, standing back up, again, very dense, dirty, nasty wood, you want a light rifle as well, okay, like in a 6-7 pound rifle. And the weight of the rifle, of course, will also influence how much recoil you're feeling, right? So if you're probably recoil sensitive, it will make sense to you to increase the weight of that rifle. Adding 1 pound to your rifle will decrease the recoil by 11% on average. Okay, it's not a flat line. It's gonna, of course, do different things with different calibers. But you can take, like, for example, if you have like a 8-pound rifle, same cartridge, and a 9-pound rifle, the felt recoil with the 9-pound rifle might be around 11% lower. And also, you can add aftermarket recoil pads or a muzzle brake at the end of your barrel if it's threaded. So, and again, that will reduce that recoils, and that will encourage you to shoot more. About recoil, shooting at the bench is always worse than shooting stand up. So if you're planning of shooting up standing, this is how you should practice, in my opinion. And you can take a lot more recoil when you're standing up than when you're sitting at the bench. I can, for sure. Barrel length, to me, the barrel length will correlate with how far you expect to shoot an animal. For example, again, in the Rockies, most often you have like longer, very long. Same with the plane, where you can have like very long sights to your games and take a long shot. So this area, you might want a longer barrel. When you're in the eastern woods, very dense, in Adler's Patch, for example, everything is so tight, so close, a longer barrel is just going to be a hindrance. You want something short, compact, that you can first, however you carry, even if it's on a sling, you don't want to get caught on branches too much. Or if you're in that thick Adler Patch and there's a moose coming, and you want to be able to have room for maneuverability. Now that you understand the type of cartridge you want, the barrel length that you need to run, the type of weight that you want, and you have this characteristic, then I go start shopping. And everything else, to me, is just fluff. Whether your barrel is blued or stainless, whether you have a fluted bolt, if your your stock is wood or synthetic or carbon, I will not make decisions based on those features alone, right? So for example, of course, a carbon barrel, carbon stock is going to be lighter as opposed to wood and like heavy stainless steel barrel, of course. But that rifle is going to be very handy in a mountain in the Rockies, for example. So once you've locked that weight, it's easy to just go through manufacturers list saying what rifle they have, and then you look at the weight of each individual rifles, and if one hits your mark, that's the one that you could run with. I'll make concessions, whether it's a detachable magazine or it's a floor plate, it doesn't matter. I don't think these will make your rifle that much better. It's just gonna make your rifle different, and you will learn to be proficient with that rifle. Same thing with the safeties, 2-way, 3-way safety. It doesn't matter. You will learn to run that rifle with the feature it has. It will not make it a better rifle. Of course, you can prefer 3-way safety. Of course, you can prefer having a floor plate, but I will. What I'm trying to say here is I will not make concession on these things if I don't get first that barrel length that I want, the overall weight that I want in the cartridge that I want. One thing I can say while you're shopping is if you are the type of person who loves to customize your thing, if you're not going to keep that rifle stuck for a long time, where you want to upgrade things, then I think you should look into getting a Remington 700 clone. So there's a lot of manufacturers who actually make Remington 700 type of rifle, and those, and also the Tikka T3, T3X. These two platforms have huge aftermarket accessories, then you can upgrade and customize the rifle to even have a better match for how you hunt. I didn't speak about accuracy up to this point, and that's because to me accuracy is a given. It has to be there. If it's not, then it's no good. Okay, you don't ask, oh yes, I want to buy a car, but I want wheels on that car. Of course you want wheels in that car. That's, you know, it goes without saying. Just like accuracy goes without saying when you need to pick up a rifle. Some manufacturer do offers guarantees, you know, sub-AOA rifle. Great. If your rifle doesn't shoot the way it should shoot, then you can send it back. And, you know, depending on the type of company, warranties are not the same, you know, everywhere. Sometimes it's hit and miss, pun intended. But yeah, so in terms of manufacturer, you know, the few that I can recommend are Tikka. I've never ever been disappointed with the Tikka rifle. I have two and they're fantastic. My friends also shot Tikka. Great rifles, seriously. They are, for the price that they are and the quality that they give, they're very, very hard to beat. Another manufacturer that I can recommend is Bergara. I have one in 6.5 PRC. Fantastic rifle, great feature. It's a Remington 700 platform. So I can customize it with, you know, I could change the stock and do a lot of mods to it if I wanted to. And the third one that I would also recommend are the Hawa, the 1500 series specifically. Great, fantastic rifle. I have one in 6.5 Grendel, which is the 1500 Mini. But they're made in Japan. Fantastic rifles as well. For the price, you know, like that list is very price / quality. And another, I do not have one, but I've, you know, some of my friends have Brownings, and they're also great rifles. You know, really well made, smooth bolt, very, very nicely done. And I think they are also made in Japan these days. So that says. One manufacturer that I will stay away moving forward is Christensen Arms, and I'm seeing more and more reports that their rifle are not up to the expectation. I have one Christensen Arm that is the same. I sent that rifle back. It took 6-7 months before I got my rifle back, and the rifle still shoots like a potato. So the next thing I'm going to do is just swap that barrel and try to do something else with it. Very sad, but that's, you know, again, sometimes it's a hit and miss, right? Now, depending on your budget, if you're willing to pay $3,000, $4,000 for a rifle, then I will beg of you not to look at manufacturer rifle. I would say go full custom, because you're gonna have a much higher quality if you work with a local gunsmith, and if you source premium parts for your build, you will have a very high quality rifle at the same price, if not maybe a little bit higher than some of the premium brands that you will get out there, but you will have a phenomenal quality for your rifle. On the other hand, on the flip side, is if you're very, very, very tight on budget, then a rifle family that I will highly recommend are the Swedish Mausers, like the Husqvarna M98 FN Action. They are fantastic, and seriously, I don't understand why they are not, you know, they're not worth more on the market today. You can get one of these at $350, $400 sometime. I have 3 Husqvarna. I've covered this rifle in another video. You can find the link up there and in the description if you want to know more about these Swedish Mausers. And that's it. So that's my recommendation. You know, start with cartridge in mind, then define the weight depending on the type of terrain, the length of the barrel depending on the, you know, the distance you want to shoot. So, you know, the length of the barrel and the cartridge usually are matched. The same cartridge can come in different barrel length, and of course shorter barrel will penalize you in the velocity, but it will increase the handiness of that rifle when you're in a dense brush, and you will not mind having less velocity in a dense brush because your distance for a shot is going to be limited anyway. Okay. And to finish, if you want the jack of all trade rifle, in my opinion, jack of all trade, that would be a 22-inch 30-06 7.5 8-pound rifle. All right, folks, this is where this one ends. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment which was your first rifle. Were you happy? Were you disappointed? What would you do different today now, with some of the experience that you have? And if you're new to the firearm thing, hunting, please do chime in with your question in the comment. I will meet you there, I promise. All right, folks, see you. Take care. Bye-bye.